You can start to see folks piling in here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us today. All right, all right, all right. This is going to be our second annual Impact Report webinar. So we're super excited to have you all. Um, I think we'd love to have you post, share in the chat. Who are you? Where are you from? What brought you here today? Introduce yourself. We've got got a great group of folks joining. We've got over 160 confirmed registrants, and I can see the attendees increasing as we speak. We'll probably give it a minute or so, and then we'll jump right in. I know we have our lovely Jennifer behind the scenes on Riipen events, posting in the chat. So again, welcome everyone. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know who you are, what brought you here today. But thank you for coming. Super excited to have you. Hi, Stephen. Great, great to see you. Thanks for being the first. Probably give it another minute here, and then I will kick us off. Ooh, we see some interest in work integrated learning for high school as well as college. This is a very exciting world for us these days, moving into the K-12 space. A huge need at the moment. So thanks for joining. All right. All right. All right. Well, I think I'll kick us off here. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on this very special day. My name is Dana Stephenson. I am the co-founder and CEO of Riipen. Today is a special day. We're joined by our two other co-founders. Many of you probably know. I'll be introducing them in a second. And as many of you know, we started this company over 10 years ago when we came up with the idea back at the University of Victoria back in 2012. And it's hard to believe that it has already been over 10 years. But we really love these sessions because they give us an opportunity. These moments really give us a chance to reflect on the journey that we've had and really recognize all the hard work, the dedication, and the continued support from so many people from our community who have helped us, and we've helped each other, really accomplish so much. And this is really part of telling that story, surfacing those stories, and really bringing to light some of the data behind that as we, really contribute to the body of work that moves this whole space forward. For those of you who know us well, I'm sure there are many of you out there. You'll know that if you've spoken to any Ripeneer, you'll know that we're huge believers in learning by doing. And we're big believers that if that doing part of learning by doing is real, is authentic, is relevant, is an opportunity to take what you're learning in the classroom or the training program and apply it in a real world setting, solving real challenges in your community or around the world, building social capital, gaining experience, gaining career clarity, building up a portfolio of industry verified and validated skills that you can show off to future employers to land meaningful employment, contribute to your communities, and live fulfilling lives, then that is one of the biggest impacts that we can have as educators and folks in the education space, preparing learners and workers for the future of work. Our mission, people know it well. Our mission is simple: is to end underemployment. No easy feat. And of course, we do that by embedding real, authentic work into education, and do that as early and as often as possible. To do that, that means we spend a lot of time thinking about how we break down barriers. And we break down barriers for learners of all backgrounds to engage authentically with employers, and break down barriers for those employers to make sure that employers of all sizes, especially small, medium-sized, micro businesses, startups, nonprofits, can participate and can engage meaningfully and authentically with learners preparing and building talent pipelines to solve some of the world's biggest challenges going forward. So real partners, real projects, real skills that lead to real careers. That's what we're all about here. Um, 2024, it was a huge milestone for us. We crossed over 250,000 learning experiences. I think that's also a big milestone for everyone, or a big, moment that everyone will remember, where AI really moved from it felt like almost a buzzword and potentially a lot of hype to business as usual. This is no longer optional. AI is reshaping how we learn. It's reshaping how we teach. It's reshaping how we work. And for many of us, I'm sure they're reflecting. It's like myself, it's shaping how we lead. Um, for you know because we're ripen and we're so focused on new entrants, emerging talent, looking for entry level jobs. It would be remiss if I didn't speak a little bit about those. What of a challenging a job market that we are in right now, where learners graduating are facing a lot of disruption. As AI and technology starts to disrupt and take on some of the more manual tasks that many entry-level workers relied on to be that first rung in the ladder, to get their foot in the door, to land meaningful employment and prove what they can do. It's creating a lot of challenges. But with those challenges are creating opportunity. Higher ed is obviously under pressure to move faster than ever. We knew this back in 2012. It was one of our main highlights, is that we really were about how to keep, create a feedback loop to keep curriculum evolving faster and faster to keep up with industry. Skills are going, we can no longer rely on fixed skills lists. They feel like they're going stale almost as fast as they're being published. But I think what we do know and what we are seeing out there is that even with AI, those core human skills, those transferable skills, those durable skills, uh, those haven't changed. Employers are looking for those more than ever. Those skills like communication, critical thinking, creativity, empathy, leadership, human judgment, these are skills that AI can't replace. These are skills that we need to continue to find ways to make sure that we are leveraging technology to amplify those skills, because they're more important than ever. And so our jobs as educators and workforce partners, and here at Riipen, we think a ton. I'm a father now of a 1-year-old, and it's actually her birthday today, and have had me thinking a lot around what the world will look like when she grows up in it, and tries to join the workforce. How do we prepare our learners for jobs in a world so full of uncertainty? We don't even know what that's going to look like. And so we think about this a lot at Riipen. We need to teach learners how to learn. We need to teach learners how to unlearn and relearn. We need to help them figure out how to pair human judgment, those things, those human skills that can't be replaced with AIs, with AI tools, how to help folks think with and use their brain first, but then use the tech second. Because really, we need to keep continuing to think about how we leverage technology to amplify human skills and not replace them. Um, I think we've seen a lot of headlines come out recently that students are, as early as high school, are thinking about assignments not as check boxes or logistical hurdles to get through, as opposed to real opportunities for cognitive development, and intellectual growth. So, these, it's not surprising when you hear students that the best way that they're trying to get through this as efficiently as possible is using AI. And if that's the case, then something's broken. Now, what inspires us every single day, and I think inspires all of our partners, hopefully why most of you are here today, is that project-based work integrated learning is one of the best ways to make sure that we are preparing learners for a world of ambiguity, a world of uncertainty, a world where we don't know what your role will look like next, where you have to embrace change, where you have to continuously think critically about what the work that we're doing, and think about, creatively and problem solve to think of new ways of doing it. I know this can be challenging, But these real world projects that we embed directly into the curriculum, they help really build those skills. They help folks really understand that the assignment that was created, there's no necessarily right or wrong answer. You need to, and you can't use AI to fake your way through a real world project trying to solve real business problems for a real partner. You need to use those human skills, listen, critical thinking, communication, creativity. You know, come up with answers, present those to the employer, collect feedback, iterate on that feedback over and over again. Of course, you can use AI to help amplify the work, and you should be, but it's not going to do it for you. And that's why this is so important today more than ever. So excited to jump in here. With this report, we are holding ourselves accountable. We're holding ourselves accountable to our mission. We're holding ourselves accountable to always thinking and going to where the puck is moving. We reflect on what's happening and then are thinking about where we should be focusing our attention next. A big part of this report is obviously sharing the stories of our partners and the innovations that they've come up with while partnering with us, pushing us outside of our comfort zone into our areas of uncertainty, and coming up with really amazing solutions together. And more importantly, I said it earlier, but I hope that these insights from this report will really help move the whole field of work integrated learning forward and contribute to the body of knowledge that helps push everyone to continue driving this forward and seek never-ending continuous improvement. We'll cover 3 themes: from campus to careers, ensuring opportunity for all, and the power of we. And those are laid out in the report. Super excited about that. I'm joined by our fellow partners in crime, my fellow partners in crime, Dave and Jordan, who have been with me since the day one as we kick this off. We're going to be answering questions in a second. Looking forward to answering your questions. And of course, Ben and Reshma, who have really led the charge on this entire annual impact report. It's our second annual impact report. We believe that we took a lot of learning from last time, and we're super excited for you all to download this. And then, of course, they're going to be walking us through, and then we're going to jump into questions, and then we'll leave you with a little bit of some takeaways going forward. So thank you for joining us, and I will pass it over to Ben and Reshma to take it from here.
Sounds good. Thank you for that intro, Dana. Really appreciate it. And welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. As Dana pointed out, we will be starting out with just a little overview of what the report is. As Dana said, the impact report is really a place for us to show accountability. We share these insights not for the pat on the back, but to try further our field. We want to show accountability to you all as our partners, to ourselves for being in this field, and to those whom we are serving with our mission to end underemployment. And the spirit of today and for the impact report in general is that we want your feedback. We want to hear about your learnings, and we want to learn and grow together. So thank you for being here as we showcase some of our trends and highlight some of our key strategic themes that we have that encompass 2024 and beyond. So with those strategic themes, as Dana pointed out, there are 3. So the first is from campus to careers. Many in the room are probably familiar with that feeling and the joy that comes with moving that tassel from right to left and thinking about all of the learning that happened up until that point of graduation. What we want to mitigate is the feeling that sometimes follows that, which is, oh my God, what next? Where do I go? Do I actually feel prepared? How am I going to succeed in a career? And so the first theme of our report and a lot of our work is to bridge that gap. It's to create meaningful pathways between what's learned in the classroom on campus with actual career success. And so we'll highlight a little bit later some of this, how we execute it through curriculum embedded models, as well as through more innovative and extracurricular frameworks that we are dipping into. The second theme is our fundamental belief in the value and potential of all individuals, not just a select few. So we're really focused on expanding both access and attainment for underserved individuals as they enter the workforce, want to upskill or reskill, especially in this age of AI, as Dana has talked about. The third theme, the power of we, is the heart of everything we do at Ripen. Collaboration and teamwork, innovation that's driven by intentional partnership between educators, employers, and learners. This is how we break down silos. This is how we build relationships that last well beyond a single project or experience. And this is how we build a network that we all learn from. And so, again, I want to say thank you to all of you who are so embedded in our own networks and part of the meaningful relationships that we are building here today. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Ben to talk a little bit more detail about the why and the underpinnings of what we do, as well as dive into some examples.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rishma. One of the kind of most looked forward to or most exciting aspects of the impact report each year is the Ripen effect, which is a single distillation of what we believe is the power of the Ripen ecosystem at work. In 2024, we chose skills as that key main theme. And that's because we find that skills are kind of a single language that unites the labor market. It allows employers to signal their needs, for learners to signal their knowledge, and of course for educational institutions to be able to collaborate and signal between the two. We recently embedded in 2020, at the end of 2023, sorry, the Lightcast Open Skills Library. This is a library of 33,000 technical and soft skills across varying levels, including certifications and specific circumstances, that's designed to work across industries and across different types of work and different types of learnings to provide a single library of skills that everyone can use and clearly identify what it is that they're trying to say. We're proud to say that in 2024, our audience and our users, our clients really took this to heart and used just over 10,000 different skills across Ripen experiences and projects and tagging to their learner portfolios. This really, I think, speaks to the power of what it means to have unique work experiences that have easy signaling of what was learned and what skills were used so that learners can take that forward into resumes, into future work experiences, into learning. This, of course, builds on a ton of initiatives that are going on right now with things like learning and employment records and other pieces like that. But it really helps learners better contribute or at least better speak to what their experiences were in the labor market. There are 33,000 skills in the Lightcast Open Skills Library, and Ripen users just in 2024 alone use nearly a third of those. And so I think it goes to demonstrate the incredible breadth of industries and opportunities and as well of interests that learners, employers, and educators have within the ecosystem. But this all has to come back to kind of a conceptual model of how we think about learners developing employability and of subsequent employment. And this is where the Ripen employability model comes in. It's based off the 2007 Dacre Poole and Sewell Career Edge model out of the UK, but with now wide application in Canada, the US, UK, and Australia. The specific model that we based ours on and did an extension of comes from both a diagnostic and a developmental context, in that by learners encountering these questions during their studies or in their training, it causes them to think about the responses and to help better plan for their future, but as well as diagnostic, and that it helps to understand where they are at a point in time. It was designed specifically in a higher education context and for experiential learning, and so it's suited really, really well to multiple types of interventions over time, whether that's a brief Ripen project in their first year, a combination of those across second and third year, additional learn and earn type of programming into their third and fourth year. And by the time they make it to graduation, they have this longitudinal kind of data set that can be looked at and really assessed for to see kind of like their arc of where they've gone from their first introduction into the world of work experience to now being an employable graduate, and how employability has developed over time. Seeing this model, though, we knew that there were a couple of shortcomings compared to the circumstance in which it's used within Ripen. And that is, we strongly believe, of course, that improving employability leads to better employment outcomes, and there's a tremendous amount of research backing backing that. But if somebody is extremely employable and the labor market isn't there to hire them, or sorry, if somebody has a high employability, but the labor market isn't there to hire them, then they aren't the most employable. It really takes both. And so that's why we've added these elements on of the labor market on the right-hand side, employability on the left-hand side, and then really the validation of that employability between the two through that center, which ultimately leads to employment. To take you into a few of the different examples of some of the stellar partners that we worked with over the course of the year, we wanted to kick it off with, I think, a really interesting and notable one down in the US at Arizona State University. Arizona State wanted to create a new way to do work-integrated learning / work-based learning that could accompany classroom instruction and whatnot, but operate through a paid kind of work experience model. And that's where the student project portal came in. They wanted to be able to scale these work-based learning opportunities to across campus and not drastically change the software and whatnot that instructors and students were using, but also for educators and staff members within the institution to better signal what kind of small project opportunities exist that could be put forward as learning experiences for students on campus. And so that's where this model came in. They really wanted to scale it across the different academic disciplines and for a diverse range of students. And so ultimately landed on creating this platform through a design thinking session where departments can now post projects, students can then apply to those projects, they can then engage in the work experience and use the platform to put forward work hours, comments, files, etc. And it's an earn and learn type model where the learners are paid at the end of the experience for their work. And so it helps to, one, keep learners close to campus, of course, and better connect them to the faculty and the staff members that are already there, but also to develop these work experiences within like the comfortable environment that they're used to at their institution. They can then take these experiences and kind of scaffold them into, longer term work experiences or making a strong kind of application for co-op and other types of future paid work experience. Notably for impact on this side was that 94% of all students who participated reported an increased career readiness. And this was across a variety of different types of students. And so we're really proud to have worked with ASU on this kind of exceptional opportunity and excited to see it grow more in 2025. Next up is Riipen's flagship Canadian program, Level Up. Level Up is a national work-based learning program that allows small businesses to signal their project needs and work with learners from across Canada on 60-hour-long, 2 to 8 week-long remote projects that students are then paid for. These happen outside the curriculum and are a great kind of an accompaniment to what learners are doing inside the classroom. And so since its launch in 2021 now, and the fortunate kind of renewals that have occurred ever since, thousands and thousands of students in Canada have taken advantage of this program. It was born out of originally COVID, where internships were getting canceled left, right, and center, and businesses needed a way to better connect with the labor market, particularly when everybody was going online. And so this program was created to help address that skills gap for small businesses. And learners came to really enjoy it, particularly as the world very slowly came back to being in person and developing hybrid kind of opportunities. But it allowed learners outside the classroom to work directly with these employers and develop work experiences and things to add to their portfolio. Since that time, we now have 95% of learners love this program, and 76% of all learners who participated through a representative sample were offered jobs or employment opportunities after their internship. This speaks to the power of what earn and learn programming and think can really, really do. And so we are so excited to see this continue and for you to kind of follow along this journey as the program continues to scale. For those of you who have been following Level Up for a while, we also wanted to share that we're very excited to announce that we've hired a third-party evaluator to conduct a strong research kind of multi-year study on the efficacy of Level Up as it relates to employability and employment outcomes. And so we'll be sharing another webinar and a report on that come August of this year. Now, with that, I'm going to hand it back over to my colleague Rishma to take us through our third and final partner spotlight.
Thanks so much, Ben. So far we have covered the theme of from campus to career with the ASU student project portal, opportunity for all with Level Up. And so the final theme that we're going to cover here today is the power of we. And the spotlight that we have today is EPIC, which stands for Employer Provided Innovation Challenges and is funded by the US Chamber of Commerce Foundation. So the EPIC program operates nationwide through a network of clearinghouses, which are typically local chambers of commerce or business associations. And the purpose is to connect employers ranging from Fortune 500 companies to small businesses with learners from diverse educational or working backgrounds. And so this includes high schools, community colleges, HBCUs, and just workers at individual institutions. So the purpose of EPIC is really to align employer needs through project-based challenges, which employers can set, and really address gaps in both workforce readiness, such as technical skills, with those durable or core human skills, such as empathy and motivation and emotion regulation that we know are really needed to actually succeed in the workforce and to build resilience as somebody navigates the ambiguities of the current world. So the solution are employer-led challenges that build those skills and allow individuals to gain that real-life work experience. So an example of this could be an employer that is mainly focused in the healthcare industry, and they might post a challenge around increasing access to mental health resources. So teams of learners can work towards kind of solving that issue and gain that real world work experience while supporting a real need from that employer. Since its launch, EPIC has expanded to 18 clearinghouses all across the states and really increased the effort and collaboration around workforce development that's focused on both those technical skills as well as durable skills. Importantly, those durable skills actually are validated through digital badging using Credly. So this helps set up skill validation, micro-credentialing, and helps keep talent really local to those regions and areas where these clearinghouses operate. Here, we've highlighted 3 examples from 2024. So now we're going to actually shift to 2025, our current year and beyond. Really, as you might surmise, things are just getting bigger and brighter here at Riipen. And so our goals are to continue serving expanded and more diverse audiences. As Dana highlighted in his opening remarks, we're really looking at the K-12 space, continuing to serve higher education and lifelong learning. We're planning to explore more innovative implementation and execution models on campus. So thinking about ways to more seamlessly embed work-based learning opportunities throughout someone's degree pathway. We're also thinking about and have launched employer co-investment approaches to paid project-based internships. And as we continue to anticipate and meet emerging needs, we're incorporating AI into project matching and thinking about how to never replace the human connection, but really amplify the relationships and networks that are built for learners, upskillers, and reskillers as they engage in project-based, work-based learning. So with that, we're going to now shift to the live Q&A. As Jen has put in the chat, please don't forget to add your questions to the Zoom Q&A feature at the bottom. I'm going to get us started with a question for Dana, and I'd love to hear from Dave and Jordan as well. As you know, the impact report, which the audience here will have access to and will receive later today, dives into detail about a lot of other innovative partnerships that we just haven't had a chance to highlight here today. Dana, what's an example or story from the 2024 report that really resonated with you and highlighted the impact that we are making collectively?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question, and it's very difficult to answer. Well, I mean, this impact report is such a great representation of all the hard work and everything that all the different types of engagements and variety and optionality that folks have when they come into our ecosystem, and the new and innovative ideas that our partners are coming up with constantly. I think for me, we always talk here about Riipen, how it's an open shared collaborative ecosystem, how there's a flywheel, and these projects continue to build off of each other. And so the one that I think was really interesting for us to highlight was our partnership with with Lighthouse Labs, another Canadian workforce development partner, doing amazing, great work. Now merged with and acquired by Uvaro, which is another great Canadian partner that we think is doing amazing work in this space. We launched a program with them called ICT Ignite, where we were looking at short cycle training programs in tech, in particular in cybersecurity, and looking at how we could not only transform these short cycle training programs to be experiential, where you're taking what you're learning and apply it in a real world setting to solve real business challenges and get your skills validated and leverage that to land meaningful employment, get better employment outcomes. But we also looked at the innovation, which again, like I was saying, comes from our building of other programs and our learning along the way. We took some of the learning from Level Up, where we saw the incentives of having a paid stipend as part of a project lead to these, improved outcomes and engagement from the employer, improved outcomes and engagement for the learner. And how could we take that and apply that in one of these short cycle training programs? We all know that adult learners and workers, they don't necessarily have time to go back to school and take off 3 semesters to do 3 different co-ops. They got to get the education, the training, the experience, and get right back out to the workforce. And so this was a real innovative way for us to offer the project-based experience, but make sure that that project-based experience was paid, so we could turn it into an earn and learn. We can improve the enrollment into the program, we can improve the completion rates, and we can ultimately improve the employment outcomes coming out of it. And had some amazing stories that came out of that program. So that's a new innovation for us. We expect to be doing much more of that and have many more programs like that launching this year and in the near future. So that would be the one that I would like to share. Thanks for the question, Riipen.
Jordan, you want to jump in with one?
Yeah, sure, I'll go. Yeah, I mean, the story I kind of want to tell is, I think all encompassing of all of our programs, but it comes from a very specific one. I was catching up with an old friend last year who I hadn't seen in a very long time. And, as you do, hey, like, what are you doing for work these days? And she told me that she had just launched a new media company, and that she was working with a bunch of students to kind of get it off the ground, and get her digital marketing and media out there. And me being me, I was like, oh, like, well, how'd you meet the students? And she said, well, I found this program called Riipen, and I'm doing this thing called Advanced Ontario. And I'd like just blew my mind at that point. She didn't know that that I was a co-founder of Riipen, and she just went on and on and on about Advanced Ontario, which is just an amazing program. And she actually ended up hiring 2 of the students directly from the Advanced Ontario program. So I think that story, I mean, you saw Ben's statistic earlier about students getting job offers coming out of Level Up, coming out of these programs. I think that story as a whole just really shows the power of from the employer side, as well, and getting them the resources that they need and engaging the talent that they want to work with. Yeah. Dave, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, another exciting one is our Ascent Up internship program, where it's a really great example of there's 4 partners and the funding partner, so 5 partners who have come together: an intermediary nonprofit, a innovative student loan provider, a durable skill and wraparound support provider with Ascent Up, and then Riipen coming together to bring work-based learning. And it's a really great example. We have funding for up to 1,000 students. About half of those have started last year, and the other half are going to be completing this year. And what's really innovative around this approach is all the collaboration between the organizations, but the ability for us to be really intentional and targeted with the types of learners we are supporting. It's modeled after our Level Up program, so it's co-curricular. Students are getting paid a stipend, and we're engaging learners who are enrolled in training or have recently finished training but have yet to get into that career path, and intervening with the Ascent Up training program, where they have a coach and they're learning different, getting support around different durable skills and kind of unwritten rules of the workplace. And as they progress through that program, we are bringing employers to the table, and they're getting curated into a paid project experience similar to our Level Up program. So really excited about that one as well.
I think one thing these are such amazing examples, and I think one thing that really was a big aha moment for us in 2024 and coming into 2025 was really this idea of focusing on the dual impact, and these programs are perfect examples of that, where we're not just measuring the impact, and we can get really we have incredibly high response rates where we're measuring students' reflection before, during, after employer evaluations of the students. So we can really start to leverage that and understand employment outcomes and the impact on the learner. But the dual impact is also understanding the impact on the employer. And of course, most people go right to, oh, how many employers hired students out of that? We have great results for that, which is fantastic. But actually looking at the project itself, how much is the project that these students are engaging in? How much is this project actually improving that organization's productivity, efficiency, ability to create new jobs that wouldn't have otherwise existed, and then having the talent ready to fill those jobs? And when you start to think about the overall economic impact and how many of these programs end up actually being funded by government funding, that this kind of impact has that dual impact, being able to tell that story opens up and unlocks a lot more funding to be able to provide these kinds of experiences to students and learners and workers.
I love
Super
that.
exciting.
It really is a symbiotic relationship between everyone, and that's the goal, right? We're not trying to build something that really is beneficial for just one party. So I appreciate those examples. Thank you. We're getting a lot of fantastic questions from the audience, so thank you all. Keep them coming. One question that I think I'll direct to Dave here is, what's the thinking as we expand into the K-12 ecosystem? What's the role that Riipen might play for students that might not be going to college after high school? Are there any partnerships or ideas that we have that are in that vein?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few different areas. The feedback that we're getting from students that we are partnered with um, in that space are really looking to these programs as a way to gain career clarity. They don't know yet what career path they know what they're interested in, they know what skills they're developing and where their passions are, but until you actually get into a project with a real employer and demonstrate those skills, it's really hard to understand if that's the path that you really want to invest in. And so I think from a career discovery and confidence and clarity standpoint, there's a lot of opportunity there.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, perfect. The next question that we have is just around what support or guidance students receive as they are engaging in project work. Do we have a student success team or anybody that's really helping guide their efforts?
So I think that can be answered in a number of different ways, and there's no like so many things when you're building an ecosystem, there's no silver bullet, just lots of little pellets that can make a difference in someone's life and the interactions that they're having on our platform and within our ecosystem with our partners. Um, so of course, one of our core values here at Riipen is empowerment. So how do we empower our educators with the right resources, with the right professional development, with the right tools to support, provide guidance to their students while working on these projects? How do we create resources ourselves that students can dig into themselves and review and learn from? Learn how to better articulate the skills that they're developing as part of these experiences or their reflections to communicate those to potential employers. How to get those on their LinkedIn, and advice to all the students on the call. I mean, get these projects on your LinkedIn. Really start to think through it as part of your reflections that are built into this. Like, how will you articulate this to future employers? Get them on your LinkedIn, get them your resume. Use your profile that we've created for you, because when you see these stats of students getting job offers at the end of it, that's where most of them are coming from. So make sure that you're doing that kind of work. We've got the resources to help you do that. How do we empower the employers to be really strong mentors, to be able to have the tools to check in, to be able to track and understand, what they could be doing to better set the students up for success, how to provide feedback at different milestones. So that's why that milestone tool is so important and so valuable. And make sure that there's constant communication and constant contact. But above and beyond that, we should also mention that we are building out an entire student success team at Riipen community for our learners. This has been one of the biggest requested requests at Riipen. you have spoken, we have listened, and this will be launching this year. So wait till, many people will be seeing announcements about this very soon. We'll be starting with some of our larger scale programs. We'll be also investing in a number of other resources like offering simulations for folks to practice before they engage in projects. We're going to be running a number of pilots in our Level Up program, offering mentorship, offering assessments of skills to do better matchmaking. These are going to be small pilots, but then those are going to inform bigger implementations of those should they be successful. That's why measurement is so important at Riipen, because we want to invest in the things that work.
Fantastic, thank you. The next question that we have here is around opportunities for paid work integrated learning for international students, for someone that's based in Canada, or just in general, how we increase that access. Jordan, you referenced Advance Ontario earlier. I think that would be one of the main ones. Is there anything that you or anybody else wants to add here?
Dana, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Well, I can jump in here. So one of the things that we were super thrilled with when we launched Advance Ontario was really making sure that we could make it available to international students. And of course, the Ontario government saw the gap in our federal Level Up program here in Canada, and wanted to help fill that gap. And it's been a huge success, enormous amount of demand for students, and now international students in Ontario can get access to these paid experiences. If you are from another province, we would love to speak with you. We are engaging folks in every province to replicate that model. Of course, we also are doing work to advocate at the federal level to make our federal programs open, to make sure those incentives for employers and learners are open to international students as well. But I think that, Jordan mentioned it briefly. I think Reshma, you mentioned it as well. We are moving towards a model. The first stepping stone of that is actually co-investment, where we can actually take the dollars that are being invested as an incentive, and rather than that being 100% subsidy for a stipend, that actually is a matching fund. And that's encouraging employers to put more, their skin in the game. It's actually giving our employers access to even more opportunities to do this, because of course those programs are incredibly popular and totally oversubscribed. And that makes the dollars go further. And so if you can think about that model and what we're building towards, at first, these programs were 100% subsidized. They were totally oversubscribed by employers and learners. Now we're doing a 50% subsidy, so it's a matching fund. That's making the dollars go much further, reaching more learners, reaching more employers, and offering some scaffolding abilities that employers wouldn't have had access to before. And then the goal is really to use this to keep demonstrating that we can move towards a model where employers are seeing so much value from this. Students are delivering so much value through these different programs, harnessing the technologies that are available today to have such a big impact out there that employers are willing to pay even without a subsidy. So stay tuned. We don't have those programs coming out now, but you can see the logical build towards that. And if you're interested in experimenting with those today in Canada, Future Path is the program today that we're launching, co-investment originally as a first step. And then we'll be bringing it to more programs across the US, Canada, and hopefully around the world.
Thanks, Dana. We have a few questions about employer partners, as you just touched upon, Dana. And so here there are some questions around how do we select the right businesses? How might we engage AI to promote better matching between projects and the experiences and students? So Jordan, do you want to share a little bit about how we're doing that?
Yeah, I'll kind of answer both of those a little bit separately. So yeah, employer selection is obviously a really big question we get asked about, our work integrated learning programs, as well as from our academic partners. And the answer is there's an enormous spectrum of possibilities when it comes to selecting the right employer partners for the right program or even the right school. And a lot of those things come from the program's preferences themselves. Some programs say that they have to be local, whether or not that's national, local, or statewide, or from a particular city. There's often a lot of work to be done for qualifying employers as well. So an academic institution or an individual educator can say, I only want to work with companies of a certain size, or I only want to work with certain companies from a certain industry. Riipen has the tools both within our platform itself, and then for some of our larger scale programs, we do a lot of pre-vetting outside the platform as well, that goes into ensuring that the right employers get into the right spot. And then, of course, within the platform itself, too, you have all the matchmaking options that are available to all of our users. And then a lot of hidden functionality as well that a lot of our users might not even be aware of. We have things like user identity verification, company verification. So companies actually, have to put in their business number, put proof of address, and all this kind of stuff that they need to do. For our paid programs, making sure that they have payment methods that are linked to their company and everything up front. All this goes into making sure that the right employers get to the right spot and that it's, a high quality experience and, not to be negative or anything, but to like reduce, negative cases that can arise if you just kind of open the floodgates and let anyone in. And then from an AI perspective, a lot of the people on this call have probably already seen it. 2024, we jumped into the AI pool head first with a lot of our matchmaking tools, with a lot of our employer tools. So we have things like, projects being created with AI. So an employer can come in, put their one sentence in for the business goal they're looking to achieve. And then our AI will take that and create an amazing project, an amazing learning experience out of that for learners. It's worth noting that we don't take any decision making out of the hands of our users. Everything that we're doing is just preemptive. It allows you to have a good starting point for it. And project creation is a really good example of that. And then there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff too that our users might not know are happening, but it really improves the quality in the end. So every project that comes through Riipen gets automatically screened with AI. Is this a good learning experience? Is this not just a job posting out there? What are the skills that are being involved in this? Is the work that's actually being asked to be produced, of high quality, and not just grunt work for that anyone can come in and do, that a company might just be looking to get free labor out of. We do moderation behind the scenes too. So, making sure that the content being posted is appropriate, making sure the messages being sent are, not harassing in any way. All of this goes together to create, that wonderful experience for our learners and for our employers.
Thank you. That is very helpful, and I think addresses quite a lot of the chatter and the comments here, and as well as other QA. I also want to acknowledge that we're getting a lot of communication around follow-up correspondence and requests to meet up. We will absolutely be following through on that. We are very excited to be receiving that information, so thank you so much. It's talk about symbiotic relationships, right? So we are very, very happy about that. The final question that I'll ask here, that I'll start with you, Dave, and then curious for any other input from you as well, Dana and Jordan. But we've talked a lot about progress, and I think we can all agree that we've made quite a lot in the experiential learning world. What challenges do you think are still under addressed, and how is Riipen positioned to tackle them?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of our biggest under-addressed challenges is still, unfortunately, equity and access. Who gets experiential learning opportunities and who doesn't? Traditional models still tend to favor students who already have strong networks, live near cities, or can afford to take time away from studies to do work experiences, whether that's unpaid internships or paid internships. Our team is really tackling this head on by eliminating some of the barriers, making experiences more remote, asynchronous, and really embedding them into classroom and other academic commitments. This really means that students from any background, geography, financial situation, can get access to real experiences and employer feedback. On another kind of note, like other gaps really that we're seeing is in quality and relevance. I mean, the experiential learning, there's a lot of different models out there, a lot of different shapes and sizes. And we still see too many experiential learning opportunities that don't really build the skills learners actually need. And so we're really looking to work with partners to ensure alignment with what employers are looking for, and help educators really tailor their experiences to their learning goals. I don't know, Dana or Jordan, if you have anything to build off of that.
Happy to jump in. I think it's a never-ending pursuit to improving quality and opening up access, breaking down barriers. There will always be more work to be done there, but work integrated learning has been such an equalizer in this space. I think one of the gaps that we've been talking about a lot here kind of goes back to the top of what I was saying, is this challenge, I think, that we have an education system where students sometimes, this is my thinking on this, students sometimes feel when they get into when they get into a project-based experience, if this is their first project-based experience, they haven't done one of these before, they sort of have this moment, and this is not all students, but they have this moment of, what do I do next? I'm just going to wait for my faculty member, my educator, to tell me what to do, to guide me, or I'm going to wait for the employer, who's my manager, to tell me what to do. And that's, it's a sort of a fairly risk-averse way of engaging in these experiences. That's really not the best way to get the most out of this. So we're really trying to think through resources, as we were talking about earlier, through coaching and mentorship and professional development for our educators, around how do we, other supports, check-ins, how do we really help our students become more proactive, help our students realize that, look, in this kind of engagement, there is no right or wrong answer. Failure is okay. Making mistakes as part of this is totally okay. You've got to jump in there. You've got to jump in there with what the employer really wants to see, what's going to give you the best opportunity to take what you're learning and apply it and get the best possible learning experience, is that you jump head into this, and you take some chances. Um, and that is really putting folks outside of their comfort zone. They may have to handle an employer, coming back with feedback that's not necessarily positive, but that is the kind of, being able to handle that kind of feedback, to be able to adapt, to be able to, demonstrate resiliency, and, being able to handle, being flexible and handle ambiguity and come back and listen to that and understand it, and then come back with new responses to that. These are the kinds of skills that are going to demonstrate to employers, and that you're going to be able to articulate of why you should be picked for a future opportunity. These are the skills to build on. And so, of course, once you have your second or third or fourth or fifth experience, you start to get the hang of it. This is why it's so important not to just have a goal of one work integrated learning experience per student, but maybe one work integrated learning experience per semester, is a better goal, so we can really scaffold them up. But those first ones are often challenges. So we're thinking a lot about, how do we bring folks together? Do they get started and they just jump right in and they get moving? Because it's in that messy middle where there's no perfect prompt. There's no perfect way of doing this. It's going in, it's making mistakes, it's learning from those mistakes, it's doing the research, it's producing something, it's getting feedback and iterating on that. That's where the real valuable learning happens. And so, yeah, we're just trying to really figure out how do we encourage that kind of behavior, rather than folks just try and do it, the perfect way to get the right answer, which I think, a lot of the assignments in education end up sort of training students as a habit to look for.
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off what Dana said. Often at Ripen, we talk about the spectrum of authenticity. At one end, you have students doing internships, which is an amazing experience, and they're actually going to work. There's always going to be a supply and demand problem there, and that supply often goes to the people who have slightly more privilege than others in the right time in the right space in their lives. And at the other far end of authenticity, you have an assignment out of a textbook that might have been written 30 years ago. And that's often seen as the easiest lift in terms of education, in terms of training students. And Ripen is obviously in the middle and skewing towards internships a little bit more. And I think one of the challenges we often see are just, people coming into this with a mindset of thinking that this is, straightforward, this is easy. I'm just going to kind of set this thing up and go. And again, my students are just going to come to the right answer. Or as a student, I'm just looking for that right answer. or I, as an employer, provide my project and then I can walk away. And then, in a month's time, I get some deliverable back from the student. But what we've really seen is, all three of our personas, educators, employers, students, really get out of it what they put into it. The more you put into it, the more, as an educator, you're invested in helping find the right employer and monitoring the success of the projects. As an employer, you're engaging with the students, asking them really good prompting questions to get their minds thinking. As a student, you're following up, you're making those mistakes, you're correcting them. That's the mindset shift that we're trying to see. We're literally bridging the gap between academia and business, and I think that's the ongoing challenge for Riipen with all of these programs.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you all again for the questions. There are several that we haven't gotten a chance to answer, so we'll follow up with you individually after the webinar here. And Dana, I'll turn it over to you to close us out here.
I don't think I could possibly have closed it out better than those last few responses of what we're thinking about, what we're working on. But I think I'll just tie it right back to the top, which is, we're thinking enormously about how work integrated learning helps build adaptive capacity, and really, how this, I think you certainly heard this in Jordan, Dave, and myself's comments here, that it really helps balance, especially in an era of AI, it really helps create an environment where learners are learning to balance optimization, using AI to find the right perfect answer, and trusting your gut and your human judgment and the human skills that you have, and then presenting those to folks and trusting their human judgment and iterating on that. But then using AI again, or technology, I shouldn't always just say AI, to amplify these human skills. So I think the reality is, we knew this in 2012, and I think many of our partners have supported us along the way because they knew it as well, is that the way we teach has got to change. And that's only become a greater and greater need. That's only happening faster and faster with the way things are moving and the way industry is moving. So we hope that this report helps provide an enormous amount of insight around the way that a whole wide variety of different partners, all different types of educational institutions, all different types of employers, learners from all backgrounds and geographies, are engaging in these kinds of experience, the innovation that they're coming up with, because that's the best part about work integrated learning, these project-based experiences. There's just so much optionality. There's so many different ways that you can configure it. It's all about, finding the right way to model this that meets the unique needs of the learners and the workers and the communities and the employers that those programs are serving. So hope that this report helps give folks ideas, and we'll give you an opportunity to download it, and we'll be sending it out to everybody. Please share and amplify the message. If this resonates with you and you want to learn more, please reach out. For those of you who put this into the chats that we didn't answer, we'll get to those and we'll be in touch. Of course, everyone, stay connected, stay ripe, and let's continue to collaborate. So thank you so much for everyone. Maybe I'll just, as we're parting here, because we did talk a lot about 2024, before we head out, Dave, Jordan, anything you want to share about what's exciting looking forward in 2025?
Really quickly, for me, it's just the amount of openness to collaboration and new partnerships across the space, working with bringing partners together who have never historically worked together, and really the concept of reimagining the traditional internship, quote unquote, to come up with new models that really meet learners and employers where they are and drive impact.
100%. Jordan?
Yeah, I think I'll stay true to my technology title and just say, all the amazing new AI tools that are coming out in the Riipen platform for 2025 that are going to help these programs scale bigger and drive even more successful outcomes.
Amazing. And I'll leave with just saying our flywheel, we think a lot about the flywheel. More academic institutions attract more employers attract more academic institutions. We started to see this, how that activity from more employers and academic institutions, and especially within a region or an ecosystem, attracts more workforce development partners and vice versa. But, big, huge thank you to our impact team, Reshma and Ben, for putting this all together, and everyone who invested in this and made this possible, because I think I'm realizing another flywheel here, that the more measurable outcomes we achieve, the more that we can prove that this is working, the more funding gets unlocked, the more partners contribute and join the community, and that flywheel continues to take off in a whole other way. So we've got multiple flywheels, driving a larger ecosystem flywheel. So super excited. More to that. More of that to be seen in 2025 for sure. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.